Welcome to Nintendo Voice Chat for the week of September 1st, 2016. I am Jose Otero, and this is This is IGN's Nintendo Show. I'm joined by Schneider.
Are you going to do that again?
No.
Really? We're rolling with that?
We're rolling.
Wow. All right, we don't have time. Go. I'm Per. Hey.
That's Schneider. That's Jonathon Dornbush making his NVC debut.
Yes,
he's been with us for, what, like a month now?
2 months. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay. Got it.
2.5 months.
2.5 months.
Well, welcome.
Thank you.
We have a lot to talk about because the Nintendo Direct happened. But first, we want to let you know that you can leave us a review, just like Iron Jimmy on iTunes, who says, I've been listening to NVC for years. It's by far my favorite podcast. I'm always eager to hear what the crew has to say about the latest happenings at the hardest company to love. I think that was a backhanded compliment for Nintendo, but I get it. It's fun to revel in their triumphs and lament their many failures, unfortunately. It's a well-balanced mix of analytical and jovial discussion, and it's probably helped me stay the diehard Nintendo fan that I am today. All right, thank you very much for that, and let's kick things off really quick with just a quick PSA that IGN is at PAX this weekend. Yes. PAX is in full effect from Friday to Monday. Yeah, it's serious business. It's Memorial Day weekend, or Labor Day weekend. Labor Day weekend. Memorial Day in May.
I'll be in LA. I'm not going to make it to PAX. You're going to PAX?
I want to, but I don't think I'm going to make it either.
Oh, man.
Yeah.
All right, sorry, guys.
Sorry, guys. But do you know our festivities? What's going on?
Yeah, we have a few people there. Marty Sleva is hosting the Telltale Games panel on Friday. Which is tomorrow, or today. I don't know when days are. There's going to be an IGN Podcast Beyond featuring Marty, Alana Pierce, and Andrew Goldfarb with special guests coming. That's Saturday at 12:30. There's going to be a Happy 20th Birthday, the Nintendo 64 panel with Marty, Alana, and Andrew on Sunday at 11 a.m. And then Alana is going to be on a Scared Yet, a discussion of horror and media panel, which is on Sunday from 3 to 4.
Nice.
So that'll be a spoopy panel.
Okay, fair enough. Cool. And if you follow them on Twitter, I'm sure they'll have some kind of impromptu meetup, so make sure that you check out.
Say hi and be nice.
Say hi.
Yeah, please say hi and be nice. So next, it's been 2 weeks. We didn't really talk about Metroid Federation Force review on this podcast. We got to do a little bit of discussion. We did some at Gamescom, but ultimately 5.9 on IGN, which is mediocre, sadly, on our scale. Some challenges, right, being that there were good ideas in that, for example, it was very evocative of Metroid. Yeah. You would put up the 3D slider and it felt like you were like behind the visor. But it was not a balanced single-player campaign, as far as I can tell. It was much better in co-op.
Yeah, my opinion hasn't changed much since that episode. And like, if you, we didn't put this out as an audio episode, but if you go to IGN and just click on the shows tab, go to NVC, you can watch the Gamescom half hour that we did where we talked about this game. But it's like, I think it is worth playing if you have friends and you have multiple copies of the game. I actually think it is worth your time because they do some really clever stuff there. There's some really good Nintendo ideas, and they've always been great at creating games specifically for 4 players to collaborate and have fun and play around in.
Well,
and I think it's worth.
Yeah, the objectives show that.
But if you are just playing by yourself, no.
Yeah, don't do it. Unless you have an internet connection and you're willing to put up with the limited communication.
It's not the same. It's just not. It doesn't have the same feel when you play with people online. In this case, because of the communication.
Yeah, and specifically because some planets have very specific goals that you have to be able to do and be able to communicate. Like, for example, who's pushing this sort of minecart while the other people are protecting, like things like that, or who's sort of doing one thing versus the other. Everyone has a role in some of these stages.
But
so it was unfortunate. It does have a great tease at the end. Slight spoiler. Cover your ears for the next 2 minutes. Has a tease for another Metroid Prime Federation, either Metroid Prime game or Metroid Prime Federation Force game, depends on how you want to put it.
God help us.
I think it's a Metroid Prime tease. More specifically, folks are linking it to what Tanabe told us about the year this game got announced at E3, where he said there was a larger story he wanted to do between Samus and I think the enemy's name is Sylux. And yeah, hopefully that's a thing. I think that was 2 minutes. Okay, we're done with the spoiler. Come back now.
All right.
They're probably still not listening if they had their ears covered.
Yeah, that's true.
You can come back. You can come back.
Put the volume up. All right. So next, Axiom Verge is coming out for Nintendo Wii U on September 1st, which is the day we're recording this. very cool Metroid-like game in a year where we don't have a very cool Metroid-like game despite a 30th anniversary.
I gotta say, it scratches the itch in this case. If you haven't seen this game, just look it up on IGN Axiom Verge. Sounds like you've played it as well.
Oh yeah, I played it when it came out on PS4.
Nice.
Played through it all. I have a few friends who adored that game, and yeah, it's a great throwback. I think one guy did everything for the entire
Thomas
game.
Howe.
Yes, yeah,
Yep.
really
Good man.
excellent job. And so yeah, it's definitely worth playing, I think.
Really enjoyable. It has the same sense of kind of like isolation that Metroid has. You start in this pod and you explore, and it's exactly like Metroid, where you go to the left first to get your power up so that you can go to the right. It has like the kind of blast door looking things.
Oh, yeah.
Some really clever ways of using items to get past obstacles. Don't ignore it. Just because it doesn't have Metroid in the name, it's a good gameplay.
Yeah, it's one downer to me, as it's slightly chatty in a way that I kind of just want to skip through and get on exploring. But
It's Metal Gear-y in that.
I will
respect.
admit that like Symphony of the Night has that just as much as Aria
true,
of Sorrow
that's true.
had that just as much as Metroid Fusion had that. So I'm okay with it. But outside of that, great Metroid-like game available this week as of Thursday. And Nintendo announced a Nindies Summer Jam is what they're calling it. But basically for the month of September, every Thursday, they're promising a new game from an independent developer, and for the week of that game's launch, it is 10% off. So if you want to get this game at a discount price and you have not played it yet, this is the week to do it. Just putting that out there for folks. We also played Noi to Love Devolution, which is a game coming in 2 weeks to this Nindies Summer Jam program. Not in love with it as much as Axiom Verge, I will say. Like, it is an action game that predominantly uses a stylus. It was based off of we talked about this
PC game,
yesterday.
I mean,
game.
Noi to Love has been around for a long time. Again, like a tiny little indie development studio, right? Made this game. It almost feels like a love letter to mischief makers, like the Treasure kind of side-scrolling action games,
fast-paced
of that era, right? Like all sprite-based, but it doesn't have the same kind of level of technique. Like you tap the screen to attack and use your left hand, similar to the new Pikmin game that we're going to talk about. Use your left thumb to actually control the character, and then you tap the screen. The only issue with this game is because it's so fast-paced, I do feel like my hand gets in the way. And that's less of an issue with the Wii U version, more with the 3DS one, where you use your stylus to tap, but like your hand is kind of in the way.
No, I have to put my hand in an angle too when I'm doing it on a Wii U gamepad. But I think the thing that it is missing, first of all, it has gorgeous graphics, really cool music. I think that the sprite work is really well done for the most part. But I do find myself feeling unsatisfied as I'm tapping through stages, because I just feel like my favorite action games, I feel great about them because I look good when I execute like the technique and when I get the timing down and when I'm doing all that stuff. And this game does have a hardcore element in that it subtracts points for every hit of damage you take, not just from your life, I'm talking about from your score, but I don't feel the satisfaction that comes with, man, I nailed that. Like, and there's some big bosses. It's got all the pieces for the kind of game that I would enjoy, but I do feel the repetition of just tapping and kind of sliding around the screen to hit things.
It's like a touchscreen-based Metal Slug in a way, in that like just a lot of stuff is going on, and you do have kind of like these great like big tanks and things pop up in that game as well.
Yep.
But yeah, take a look. Well, I have to play it a ton more to figure out, whether it's going to grip me. So far, Axiom Verge is definitely the one to get this week.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. And something else that happened while we were on break is Japan's prime minister dressed up as Mario at the Olympics.
At the Olympics, yeah, that's right.
Yeah, wasn't that cool? So in case you haven't been in the know, in 2020, the Summer Olympics will take place in Tokyo. And so as part of the closing ceremonies at Rio, you saw a short video montage followed by the Japanese PM coming out repping Mario, which is a cool thing.
So here comes my moment where I look at the camera. Nintendo, if you do not seize this and figure out how to make Mario and your characters mascots of the Olympics, seriously, this is the way to make your characters even more mainstream. Like I was so frustrated when I heard afterwards. It's like, oh yeah, no, this was a one-off thing. It's like, do not let it be a one-off thing. That would be the smartest freaking thing to get your characters on all the screens in the world.
And I thought I saw a quote that they had an opportunity to use Pokemon, but chose Mario instead because they felt he was more recognized, which just kind of surprised me because it's like Pikachu's up there. I don't know if you
Especially
heard.
this
But
year.
maybe you didn't want to be dressed. It's harder to dress as a Pikachu than Mario. You get the hat.
That's a
and
harder
the
suit
overalls,
to take off. Let's
seriously,
admit it.
come on, that would be awesome because Olympic mascots are notoriously terrible. I mean, look back in time. They're awful looking, stupid, corporately designed creatures most of the time. I'm sure there's some exception somebody is going to send me. This is the chance to have something playful. And the Mario characters have played sports and they've been Olympic Games. Like, it's so perfect.
I like it. There's no argument against it here. You have to do it. And another thing that you have to do, according to Nintendo President Reggie Fils-Aimé, who was asked at E3, this quote comes from E3, but the story was run quite recently about what Nintendo needs to do with NX. Reggie said in response, one of the things that we need to do better when we launch the NX, we have to do a better job of communicating the positioning for the product. We have to do a better job helping people to understand its uniqueness and what that means for the game playing experience. And we have to do a better job of software planning standpoint to have the continuous beat of great new games that are motivating more and more people to pick up the hardware and more people to pick up the software. Those are critical lessons. It's about time.
But
it is about time.
So, and again, not to be negative Nelly here, but they say this every generation.
They do.
They say this. We failed to tell them why our machine is special. Or we failed to have a good cadence of games coming out. The good news, I think, and what's different this time is like if the NX is a bridge device, as rumored, that is both a handheld and a console, and Nintendo will eventually focus all its energy on this one machine. They keep on saying, "Oh, the 3DS has life left." Then suddenly you do have this because Nintendo actually puts out a lot of games. It's just split over two platforms.
No, but the other problem is the schedule. Like sometimes, and Nintendo is such a quiet company about things, and we don't quite know when the schedule gets pushed back. Most of the time, I want to say, but some games come together late. They don't do a great job of communicating when or why that happens, and then something slips for like 2 or 3 years, and you're like, well, what happened? Well, that's the story, at least with Zelda Breath of the Wild. But I think that game slipping for the majority that did is because one day someone woke up and said, Wii U is not selling. We need to put this somewhere else. But it's nice to see them saying this regardless, even if they've said it before. Hopefully you mean it this time, because if you don't, we're not going to believe you next time.
I think they mean it. The question is if they figured out the game plan for it,
if they put it actually into practice. It is the thing. It is nice that they're acknowledging that. We'll see how it is in 3 years if they really stuck to that idea.
And Jonathan, by the way, we kind of steamrolled over you here and got you in. Like it's been like 2 weeks since we've done the show properly. Yeah. So much has happened. We're like wound up and we're just like going. Yeah. But like you play Nintendo games, obviously, right?
The first game I ever played was The Legend of Zelda.
Justify that. We made it this far.
I want to make sure. We got this guy sitting here.
I love Crash Bandicoot. He's my...
There you go.
No, I'm kidding.
No, the first game I ever played was The Legend of Zelda with my mom. She brought me up on her NES. We played that together. We played Mario together, Tetris. That's what I grew up on. So Nintendo's been in my life.
I just want you to know we don't normally make people do this, but apparently Pear just really wants you to do that.
No, but you just popped up on the show. People who tune in later is like, what happened to Brian? Brian's got hair. Brian
transformed and his voice changed.
No, but my go-to joke is always I was born with a game controller in my hand because while my mom was waiting to have me in the hospital, she made my dad run out and buy a Game Boy and a copy of Tetris.
Oh, good person.
So,
and you cannot say no to a pregnant lady in the middle of labor. I will tell you that right now.
Lucky, man.
Yeah, very cool. That's how I was born. Good story. All right, so we're going to take a quick break, and when we come back, everything Nintendo Direct, everything at least we can fit into the rest of this program. Stay with us. Listen. Welcome back. Jose Otero here with Pear Schneider and Jonathon Dornbush.
Hello.
Well. It's September 1st, 2016, and we have a Nintendo Direct, and there was a ton of things to talk about.
From downtown.
Just a couple.
So kicking things off with Pokemon Sun and Moon, and that if you purchase the game between its launch and January 11th, you get a Munchlax that has a special crystal, Z-moves, no new features, though, to really speak of, at least during that portion of Direct. Just let off with, hey, Rattata has a Alola form. Yeah.
And it's dark and normal type as opposed to just the normal type Rattata from the original. So that was cool to see.
I gotta admit, that's not the thing I'm excited about, but
keep
going.
We're gonna keep going. Super Mario Maker 3DS.
Oh, there we go.
100 courses in the box, special medal challenges. However, no course ID search, which comes as a bit of a blow. You can create courses, but not share them online. This is the roller coaster, people. Hang on. You can share your courses locally or via Street Pass if you share them locally. So if I start a course and Pear finishes it, we have a collaborative medal that no one will ever see because we have to share the course locally. I'm being cynical a little bit here, but it comes out December 2nd, and it is both cool but strange to some of us. And I kind of wonder too, like, when Minecraft came out on like iOS or Android, how limited was it compared to like the PC product?
Well,
and is this the same kind of story?
Minecraft on mobile was initially a disaster. It was not a game people liked. It was, a creative tool and didn't have the kind of core attraction of the game.
Because that's what this feels like to me. The core attraction of Mario Maker is the online sort of finding these courses, someone recommending a course to you and you going, oh, I want to play that, and then discovering it. In this thing, you can play the 100 Mario Challenge, which is cool, and you can go online and find recommended courses, which is nice, but if we may start making courses again, people can't find them, at least through the 3DS game itself.
Yeah, I think, look, the removal of online sharing is just, it's stupid. Like, I gotta think this is just, they're under the gun, they're trying to get this thing done. I doubt it's a real limitation with with the system. And they can work this out, obviously. The good thing about the 3DS, it is a tiny device and you can hand it to your friend, right? And so you will have a lot of fun, but you're not going to get that kind of gratification of creating something special that a lot of people will share, a lot of people will play, which is a bummer, I think, with that game. Now, realistically, I don't know how many people actually got that with the Wii U game, because the discovery was kind of strange, right?
No, at least until, and even then, like, they didn't make it clear if, for example, the bookmark site, if the bookmark site would somehow save them from this, and you can find a course online, recommend it to yourself, or set up a playlist that you could then get later.
And I do like the idea of, obviously people could do it with the Wii U, but there's a much bigger install base for the 3DS, and it is, hey, a kid makes a level, wants to share it with his parents or vice versa. It kind of helps foster that relationship.
Yeah, but the best part of that situation is the TV. It's everyone crowding around watching it, whereas with the 3DS, it's just a one-on-one experience.
More people just have the 3DS to be able to access it.
Oh, no, 100%.
Yeah. I mean, what would be nice for people like us is if there was connectivity to the Wii U, where you could trade your data to the Wii U and upload it from there. Right, and because I love the idea of being on the road and being able to edit levels. Like, I take forever to make. I
think we all do, yeah.
And like I want to be able to do it in an airplane, or when I'm waiting, or when I have a couple of minutes away, and like to work on something a little bit and then save it and return later. And I really love the idea of Mario Maker on 3DS. It's just that limitation of upload is real.
And I want to make it clear for folks. Like, I think this is still a cool announcement, and it makes sense that the 3DS version of Super Mario Maker would be different from the Wii U version of Super Mario Maker. They even said that some courses won't be supported, and we don't know if that's just an asset issue, right? Like, how many assets could the Wii U version handle versus maybe the 3DS version? We'll see more with time, but there is that case of just, man, some of this stuff is a bummer. I hope that this still sort of retains its core spirit despite these limitations. And that's why the Minecraft thing stood out to me. But with time, that platform ended up working out. Like, the mobile one is highly lucrative.
Look, we'll see. I mean, maybe they have a plan to update this version over time and add additional functionality to it. That'd be great. A lot of games launched without online multiplayer, right? That now have multiplayer modes. I mean, think about Grand Theft Auto and games like that, where over time those games have changed, and it could certainly happen here.
All right, another game announcement, not going in any particular order, but I want to use it because it's going to wrap up to a larger point I want to make. Poochie and Yoshi's Woolly World, the most adorable thing you've seen on a 3DS possibly, not just because the game is a straight-up port, feature-complete port of Yoshi's Woolly World for Wii U. Also has special Poochie challenges. There's a Poochie amiibo that has the cutest butt in the world. Yes,
Andrew Goldfarb is quite excited about that Poochie amiibo.
He loves the Poochie.
He's in love.
He loves the knitted amiibos.
Yes, He can't get over it.
It was just like you saw the heart emoji like just pop out of him.
If you see him at PAX, talk to him about it. You'll probably never stop talking.
Yeah, and if you have a Poochie like amiibo, give him that. He might actually give you a hug.
It's pretty interesting. Like, you now have two games where it's like they get a second life on the 3DS.
Yeah, I wanted to bring that up. Yeah, that's the thing, right? The idea that, at least, we're not sure when this started, but Hyrule Warriors, released in 2014 for Wii U, became Hyrule Warriors Legends in 2016. Super Mario Maker, released last year, became Super Mario Maker for Nintendo 3DS, which is going to be released this year. And then finally, Yoshi's Woolly World, which came out last year, is going to be Poochie and Yoshi's Woolly World in 2017. So somewhere along the line, Nintendo decided to give some Wii U games a second life because it became very obvious that most 3DS owners did not buy a Wii U. That's the story.
This may be warm up for the DX, Nintendo Dual Screen. No, for the NX. Like this kind of concept of, hey, let's see how our games function on 2 different platforms. Obviously, it's different game code right now, right? They have to develop this, but like the NX, you're going to be able to take with you, and you're going to play it at home. And like we've seen with the Vita that a lot of people did not want the same games, and like this might be interesting practice for them to see how they adapt their game franchises.
It could be. And if you're sitting there saying, well, what about Smash Brothers? I didn't include that on this list simply because from the beginning, Smash Brothers was in development for both platforms. And it does follow a similar model. Like, I'm not going to dismiss that. And in the end, that decision made sense. Look at the sales data. Smash Brothers for Wii U sold 4.90 million units. Compared to 8.23 million units on 3DS.
Yep.
That's the story. We don't know. But Nintendo has to be careful here, right? Because at the end of the day, Hyrule Warriors Legends, to me, was a backfired version of that concept because the 3DS version was not optimized for that platform. It was sluggish, it had frame issues, and it's not recommendable at that point. It's just like, no, like who's gonna want that game? And I don't know how well that did. I don't think he does.
No, I'm good right now, thank you. Maybe later.
Fair enough. All right. Well, I hope that those 2 ports end up turning out okay in the end. I think they're both really good games, especially in Yoshi Woolly World's case. I feel like a lot of folks who own a 3DS would enjoy that.
It's a great game for on the go.
Yep.
Hey, this is interesting.
What?
I mean, it sounds like the 3DS is not dead and will persist because
possibly
there
for
also
a year
hasn't
and a
been a
half.
Kirby game today.
Yeah. Well, what happened to deploy the Kirby's? That happened
it's not
already.
over. It's not over
Clearly.
until the pink blob sinks.
Clearly, the warning signs of Kirby have moved on.
Yeah.
Okay, well, fine.
For now.
That's his thing. You deploy the Kirby when it's over.
It's the end of a franchise.
the end of a
If you
party.
ever see Kirby on Xbox, that's it.
The party never stops till Kirby shows up. So
It's my favorite rap song.
Right? There was an update just on Mario Party Star Rush, and they showed some modes of that. Overall, looking better than the last Mario Party for Wii U. Just putting that out there. Let's see how it shakes out, but whatever. Pear's rolling his eyes.
It's hard to get excited, but it's also, I mean, that's for a very young audience. It's
agree.
fun for kids to play these games, and we're not going to take that away from them. But I think my Mario Party excitement days are over.
Yeah,
you know,
same.
on the N64, man, we played those games until the wee hours of the night.
Yep.
Yeah.
As crazy 20-somethings.
Exactly.
Animal Crossing New Leaf is getting an update, and it is still a mystery. I don't understand. What do I need to do to find out? And I just want to know. That's my thing, because you have an Animal Crossing smartphone app coming up, which you argued might be tied into this update, and now I'm starting to agree with you for a couple of reasons. Finally, I agreed with you on something. First of all, let's just get to the announcement part, right? So Nintendo says 50 new cards released in December, a new series of cards that basically feature villagers that were not seen in New Leaf. And not only are they new villagers, but they have mobile homes. Interesting.
So
Very interesting.
Yeah.
I would love if Animal Crossing for iOS or Android was mobile homes for mobile phones, but so far I have no clue if that's a thing or not.
You just had some free time and made up the marketing.
Maybe. Well, it just sounds like a cute enough idea those guys would go for. And are they like just kind of tipping their hand a little bit with this or not?
There is. There's got to be a connection. You don't just, one does not simply revive a like a game that came out so many years and updated on the 3DS, which, by the way, is not a platform where software gets routinely patched and updated, right? Like, that is not the number one platform for their DLC efforts, even though Hyrule Warriors and Smash Brothers got a bunch, but like it's unusual, so it's got to be tied in. I love the mobile home tie-in to mobile.
It makes sense.
Some days I surprise you.
And then I'm curious to see what is this going to be enough for us to actually get out of bed and play this again.
So the Amiibo cards come out December 2nd. They're going to go into more detail on this update at a future Nintendo Direct. Interestingly enough, they're calling it a mini Direct. Interestingly enough, Japan already dated it, but US didn't. So Japan said like November or something. I'm forgetting the date. Sorry, it's in the IGN story. I can look that up while we talk. But yeah, I think prolonging it means maybe the smartphone app is tied into it. So I'm going to say Pear was right early and add to that theory.
Add that one to the Pear was right list. Thank you.
Okay.
Speaking of Pear was right, we should talk about Amiibo.
Which amiibo?
Something Zelda Classics.
Oh, okay. So Nintendo talked about what so far. This just looked like what do we have planned to celebrate Zelda's 30th. And before we get into it, what do we have planned for Metroid's 30th? Crickets, like nothing. Like the last Metroid is in captivity, and clearly it cannot be shown.
Yeah, the galaxy is in pieces
at the moment. But The Legend of Zelda has a new 30th anniversary line.
Yeah.
So it is 4 amiibo figures, even though they come in 3 packages. So it's an 8-bit Link. It is an Ocarina of Time Link, and it's a 2-pack that includes Toon Link and Zelda from The Legend of Zelda Wind Waker. In that art style. Now, just to put this up front, these amiibo work the same as a Link and a Zelda. There is nothing super special about them if you scan them in other games. However, they have special functionality in The Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild when it launches next year.
What do you think that is? Do you think this is simply them, they know that you don't have a relation yet to the new characters, like from the new game, obviously, so they want to make sure that you keep thinking about The Legend of Zelda, so they give you like the most beloved Links from the series, or do you think there is some sort of hook for the classic games to the new Zelda game?
But I want John to go first.
All right, John.
Ooh, I could totally see there being a hook to the classic games in some respect, especially just because of the anniversary right now, and with that game being as big as it is, I think there will be plenty of nods as it is, and using those amiibos is a great opportunity to bring out those nods as well.
I like it. Sure. So that's part of my answer is I think maybe Zelda Breath of the Wild is this convergence of all these timelines, and it'll be interesting to see what exactly these amiibo do, because the Twilight Princess amiibo summons a helper to come help you fight. It summons Wolf Link, who will help you. It's just a case where you're going to have an anime Zelda come out, a Toon Link come out.
Inhabit the enemies, and
who knows? But that's part of what I'm wondering about. But then the second half of it is actually, I'm going to start with a question. What was the number 1 amiibo in North America?
Link.
P-Stand
Link.
P-Stand Link.
Not Wind Waker or Toon
And
Link.
there have been a lot of Zelda-related amiibo, if you think about it. So in the Smash series, what were there, like 5, I think? So Link, Zelda, Sheik,
Zelda,
Toon Link,
Ganondorf.
Then you have the Breath of the Wild set, which are 3 more interesting ones. 2 of them, which are Link again.
Then you have Link and Midna.
Yep.
Wolf Link.
Wolf Link is another one, and now you have 3 more, which I don't think this is the end of the 30th anniversary set. There are way more Zelda games to represent as well. I mean, you could do a Majora's Mask one. You can do a Skyward Sword one.
For sure.
A Loftwing or something. Like, there's still potential for me. So I feel like this is just the first half.
Well, I hope they do something, though. Like, if all they are just a different version of the Link, the Link you already have, then it's firmly a collectible. It doesn't need to be an amiibo,
And we've faced this problem before.
That's like the gap to Zelda is still very big. So, I hope they don't drag this out too much, because people are going to say, why am I buying these, right?
Yeah. But I will say that as happy as I am for this set, I am very disappointed, and still this lines up with what we've been saying on the show before, that Nintendo only celebrates anniversaries when there's a product next to it, and I just think that's a shame. I do think that I wish the company was a little better at sort of being ahead of some of these things. And maybe Federation Force was supposed to be that game until everyone turned and hated on that game.
Still, the lack of Metroid does hurt for me.
But there's, I'd argue that you could do a 1-week celebration where you give away Super Metroid for free or something, right? Like, there are ways to celebrate without having new product available.
Or themes, or other like digital collectibles.
Definitely a new, like, some of the Metroid Prime suits of Samus would have been good for Amiibo,
Yep. No, I think those are all fair. All right, let's go through. There's a Street Pass update that adds 5 new games. We haven't played them yet. Yeah, same. Haven't played them. I downloaded them, though. So there's a bundle for $8.99, which you'll get, I believe, 4 games out of the 5, and you get 1 for free. Yeah. You can choose between Slot Car Rivals or Market Crashers, which, by the way, the concept to Market Crashers, there's some sort of like stock market, buying and selling, street passing with friends. I'm on board. If this is the Wolf of Wall Street on friggin' Me Plaza, we're in.
They love that stuff. I mean, like, the Animal Crossing games have the whole Kabu, like, turnip system in it too, so they love that kind of stuff. So we'll see. The economy depends on your Street Pass activity and what everybody else is doing, I assume, right?
Yep.
Yeah. So.
the economy. So so I got.
That economy.
I picked Market Crashers for free, but you could choose between that or Slot Car Rivals, and then the last three, which again you can get a bundle of 4 for $8.99. But it's Feed Me, Trek, Ninja Launcher, I believe is the last one, which is the weirdest name. Yeah, but we'll talk about that in the future when we've played it a little more.
I'm going on a trip this weekend, so I'm going to bring my 3DS along on the airplane and
you know what else you can
see
play on
if
the
anybody
airplane?
else. Another 3DS? No.
Well, wait, there is another 3DS. Oh, why did you bring it up? I thought I forgot about it.
I've been saying words like stars and galaxy the whole time just to see what would happen. Yeah.
Am I going to go back and listen and find that you were trying to tease the new Galaxy-style new Nintendo 3DS?
If you play the episode backwards, you're going to hear all sorts of amazing
Available
things.
now
I
for
always do every week just in case.
What the heck is that thing?
$199. The weirdest piece, like. Okay, so I totally get the idea that not every Nintendo product is meant for the diehard Nintendo fan. I'm totally on board with that. It's fine. I get it. At the same time, this is the first time I think I've ever seen an announcement from them where I just went, no. I do not like this thing. I think
Do you know your old Mac screensavers? Well, now you can take it with you.
Yeah, you know what? While you're at it, why don't you bring back the Windows 98 Cougar? Like, I'm sure that one's available. Like,
wow,
put
that'd
that
be
on
amazing.
the 3DS.
No, it's a weird thing. Like, I mean, at first when I saw it, I'm like, wait, is this some sort of Galaxy troll? Like, are they trolling us? Like a Mario Galaxy 3 is going to get announced? Nope. And it's just like, there's not even any reference to it. It's just like, hey, you guys want a 3DS with a star pattern? Well, here you go. Like, that's literally it. Now, this sounds like market research, marketing driven to me. It's like, what do people like? They like the planet Mars. Well, we can't do Mars because there's nothing new right now. They like, football. Well, I can't do that. They like stars.
I think they have the data to back up this thing's existence, and their audience is wide enough that someone wants it.
Somebody's going to want a system with stars on it.
But in a year where the SNES is 25 years old, and you could have done what Japan did to celebrate Super Famicom, do a SNES version.
Beautiful, yeah.
Not saying that some people have gone back and hated on the SNES, but I still think that a majority of us appreciate it for what it was, despite the purple and some of the stuff that was changed for the US version of the system. And on top of a year where you do have a Pokemon Sun and Moon game that you haven't announced yet, your Pokemon Sun and Moon themed systems, which I think that's an inevitability.
You would assume.
Not, right?
I would hope.
It's like all the rhetoric is about how big their characters are and how that is Nintendo's core asset. And you love all these characters. And so here's a 3DS with a Starfield.
Yeah.
Like, that is so strange. Like, I honestly thought they were kidding.
So I told you jokingly there's a hidden message in the stars, and you wrote one.
I
you
wrote
put
it
that
out.
on Twitter. Yeah. My thing, and we're gonna end on this. I'm sorry, and I don't mean to go on it for too long, but I will say that there are people who came up with instant theories of it comes pre-installed with Galaxy, or it has like this thing or that thing or some pie in the sky thing. No, it is just an ugly new Nintendo 3DS XL. That is all it is to me, and I'm sorry.
It's funny. Like, maybe we'll all have egg on our faces, and this thing just is exactly what
the shot
a
in the
certain
arm
segment of the audience was looking for. And next they're gonna do one with that leaf pattern and the water pattern from the other Mac screensavers, but it's wallpapers. But what a weird thing. Yeah.
Anyway, don't mean to hate on that for too long. Another game that got sort of an unceremonious, like, it feels like 30 seconds to a minute, and it's kind of difficult to say whether or not how I feel about it, was this game called Tank Troopers, which apparently looks like it's a Nintendo-developed game. I kind of consider it the middle point between a six-player Splatoon match, and this is for 3DS, and Steel Diver Sub Wars, where you had one that had no personality, Steel Diver, and you had one that had all the personality in the world. This is kind of the middle child, but I don't quite know what to make of it yet, outside of that it is based on tanks. So I'm hoping that they sort of elaborate and make it a bit more interesting. I think we talked about that.
Yeah,
too.
a little bit. It's definitely something where I wasn't particularly enthused by the initial showing, but I'm willing to see more and not base my entire opinion on this first showing for sure.
I was happy that they didn't do a Federation Force and apply the Advance Wars license or something to this. Like, I like it when
Battalion
they play
Wars.
around with with some new franchises and try something and don't carry the baggage of an established franchise that we're dying to play again. You know, I mean, that's honestly the biggest issue with Federation Force was that they didn't just make this a new game. Like it could have been a new game.
Yep.
So I'm happy that this has its own brand. So I'm looking forward to actually playing it and seeing it. You know, Splatoon was one of those games where when we first saw it, we're like, what the hell is this? And now we love it, right?
Yeah. And that one didn't have a great first showing either, in all fairness, at least to us. And you can go back and listen to that episode where we kind of felt conflicted because you felt it was too Nickelodeon. I felt like the mechanics were there, but I didn't quite grasp them the first time. And it's hard to make a first impression.
Yeah.
So all judgment reserved for Tank Troopers for now is all I'm saying.
Yep.
Picross 3D Round 2 is out, out today. There's a demo on the eShop. You should check that out.
I finished that in Japanese. I played through the entire Japanese game.
Were you satisfied?
That was it. I played this for like a year, seriously.
Oh, wow.
Whenever it came out, I got it when it came out.
Yeah.
And like I
remember I
still
told you
played it
about
like
it.
a month ago.
Okay.
It's an awesome puzzle game if you like Picross, and it's slicker and faster than the 2D Picrosses.
Yep. Skyward Sword is on Wii U Virtual Console. Forgot to mention that earlier. Also available today. If you want to get your Skyward Sword on, which IGN gave a 10, you should go play that. I only bring it up because that's the score. Let's see. Hyrule Warriors has its autumn update, which basically brought a new weapon for Toon Link. He's sort of wielding the Spirit Tracks train. It's kind of fun to watch.
Well, they go really crazy in that game. And like, did you see Zelda taking over all the enemies?
Yeah.
It's so comical to see like a dark knight, like a big knight going like hiya, hiya, hiya with the high voice. It's pretty crazy.
I think the best thing about Hyrule Warriors is just what crazy thing are they going to throw in here next? I thought you couldn't top the Link's Epona in like 2 years ago or whatnot. And they also said they have a discounted season pass for that. They quickly went over Phoenix Wright, the new Phoenix Wright game. Reminded you that Dragon Quest VII.
Do you like Phoenix Wright?
I've only played one or two, but I've always enjoyed it. I'd like to check it back again. Yeah.
Nice. So that's a thing that you should be keeping an eye out for, especially since I think it's out. I believe it's out soon.
Yeah.
September 8th, exclusively on the Nintendo eShop. So no physical package for this. Includes puzzles, mysteries to solve, a striking cast of characters, and new investigation techniques. Watch out.
Yep.
All right. So sorry, I lost my place. So Dragon Quest VII is also coming out really soon. And
Looks
this
pretty.
is, we've got it in the office. I've played, I think, the first hour. Definitely, just a bit chatty in the opening, as RPGs tend to be, but, I'm getting into my first battle, so we'll have more to say next time.
Yeah.
But I will say, if you know the story of that game on PS1, it was not a great transition to PlayStation, right? The very first time that Enix went out to do it, especially the opening. The opening took forever for certain circumstances. So we'll come back to that game next week, I imagine.
Lots of stuff to play. I mean, let's not ignore that. There's a lot of stuff coming out for 3DS that is actually quality software.
Yeah.
And there's still a humongous Pokemon game on the horizon.
And there's your favorite title of any 3DS game, which is Yokai Watch 2, Bony Spirits, and Yokai Watch 2, Fleshy Souls.
Yeah, the flashy, just all the bony and fleshy jokes on middle school grounds. It's gonna take a while for that to die down, I think.
I think you underestimate middle schoolers.
Really?
Yeah, there's a free demo version on the eShop
edition
in mid-September. New battle mechanics. You should check that out. Definitely a sign that Yokai Watch 3 is coming to America to me.
Yeah.
They're kind of fast tracking through the Yokai Watch games on 3DS.
And you were kind of lukewarm on the first one, right?
I was. I didn't like the randomization of it all. It felt like you were constantly taking a chance to get yokai to join your party, whereas in Pokemon the rules are very simple.
Right.
And even when it gets tough, put that thing to sleep and then throw the Pokeball at it. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Whereas in this thing, it was more like there's a chance encounter. You got to get the right combination and for it to like you. A little too random for my taste.
Gotcha.
So you got Shin Megami Tensei 4 Apocalypse. I don't have much to say on this. I know that SMT is very respected. Launches on September 20th. It's available now to pre-order. The sequel shows another side to the story that was presented in the original 4.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Look, I mean, just like the DS, the 3DS certainly an RPG system. Like you're getting some tried and true great franchise from the past, but you're also getting some new ones on top of that. It's pretty cool.
Yep. And lastly, before we get into Pear's favorite story, unless I'm missing something, is that they showed more footage of Ever Oasis, which is Grezzo's game that's currently in development. It is an RPG. The theme is sort of ancient Egypt meets sort of Japanese sort of approach to it. It's very interesting looking. They go into some depth on the mechanics. I'm very curious to see how that game turns out. It is a new IP for Nintendo. This is something that they're taking a chance on, so I'm curious to see where it goes.
And they worked with Grezzo, obviously, on ports of their games before, right?
Yep,
and
Majora's Mask, Ocarina of Time 3D.
Competent team, so it's going to be interesting to see if they learned from the great game design of those games and are able to apply it to this new title.
So there's 2 games we haven't talked about, actually, not one.
Yeah.
Mario Sports Superstars. It's a 5-sport compilation game coming out next spring, apparently. The 5 sports are baseball, tennis, golf, horse racing, soccer.
Yeah.
It's interesting.
Yeah, horse racing just out of left field.
Yeah.
It's riding the wave of Pocket Card Jockey, I'm telling you.
Yeah.
I love that game.
That game is awesome.
Oh,
That
it's
game is
great.
so good.
I actually started playing it because I watched you guys play it.
Oh,
Nice.
Yeah, I
Very
loved
cool.
it.
Very
such
cool.
a great game
Yeah,
still.
love it.
So you should check that out.
Like Nintendo has tried many of those sports separately before,
Yeah.
As standalone games, and I think has found that they weren't able to get that big audience. Certainly, Strikers did not reach like FIFA heights, right? FIFA is one of the most successful game franchises out there. Soccer is obviously huge, but that kind of whimsical soccer hasn't done that well. Now, soccer with cars, of course, that's a different story nowadays for the kids. But like putting them all into a bundle like that, I think it's an interesting approach.
Yeah.
If
Yeah.
they're full featured and actually good and fun to play, could be a nice little party package.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I agree with that. John, you were going to say?
No, especially as someone who's loved Mario Golf and tennis games before.
Yeah.
It'll be interesting to see how fully featured it ends up being. But I'm excited having those both sort of at my fingertips.
Who makes
immediately.
it? It's not Camelot, right?
No.
It didn't say who made it.
Yeah,
The
they
one
didn't
thing
say
that did
who.
surprise me was that the tennis and the golf footage did look exactly like the last Mario Golf
Totally.
on
Yes.
3DS
Yeah.
and the last Mario Tennis released way back when, early days of the 3DS. But let's see what the improvements are, right?
Yeah.
Like you can't judge the book by its cover yet. Let's see what they're going to say, and we'll go from there.
All games with good gameplay mechanics. Maybe some of them were lacking in depth, like tennis, for example.
Yeah.
But in like a combo package like that,
Yeah.
we'll see.
I can't wait to see how horse racing works.
Oh, yeah.
I'm kind of curious. Like, how do you do this?
Yeah.
Apparently, the Pikmin game has been revealed, and this is a big deal. So, I want to say a year ago in an interview, Miyamoto acknowledged the existence of a Pikmin game, saying at the time it was nearly done.
Yeah.
But then at this past E3, saying, "Well, no, it actually fell behind schedule, but we're nearing completion on it." And now, boom!
Is this it?
This appears
Or were
to be
they
it.
two?
A
Yeah.
side-scrolling Pikmin adventure game. Nintendo describes it during the Direct as an action game,
Yeah.
which is interesting because Pikmin has always been more of a strategy.
It's an
series.
RTS, but they never called it that.
Yeah.
I think everybody's allergic to that term in the console realm, right? That's right. They all
Yeah.
sneeze.
But they very specifically in the Direct say can only be described as action or something along
Yeah.
those lines, where it's very clear they want you to know it's different.
And it is a very different game. We
Yeah.
just made a rewind theater of the
Hopefully,
the
it's
footage.
out by the time you see this.
So yeah, hopefully that's up. But like it is, it does not. It's not like this kind of time management and having a big army. Like you're not sending 100 Pikmin and splitting them into groups and making them all work on things separately. It's a little bit more like Lost Vikings or Lemmings, where you have the side scroller, but you have to kind of plan on how to overcome the obstacles through the powers of the characters.
And it's interesting because, excuse me, obviously Nintendo 3DS is a dual screen system. One of the screens is touchscreen, one of the screens is not. So it feels like when you commit resources to the top screen, you're kind of left at the mercy of your planning and what you did. And I want to see how they get around or how they set up interesting situations using that.
Yeah.
You and I, during the Rewind Theater, picked apart like where the icons were, what they, obviously there were the obvious mechanics, but then there's this jetpack that Olimar is wearing
that he never uses in the trailer, but it's on his back the whole time.
and there's a button for it on the bottom screen, but we don't know what it does.
That may be his way to get out of every stage, and so you have to collect enough golden acorns or whatever to power that thing, right? We don't know yet
The
what
escape plan is what I would
the
call it.
exact mechanics are. Yeah, but it has that same approach where you collect junk, right? Like rusted batteries, coins, little trophies and stuff, and it looks like you've got these bubbles at the top of the screen that tell you how many are in a level, and then you want to go find them, and then you have to kind of manage your Pikmin to get to them. We did see, the footage shows you can use multicolored Pikmin. They're definitely blue ones. You swim underwater for the first time. Olimar does not sink like a stone to the bottom. He actually is able to swim and fight.
And the Pikmin
So you
swim
got
with
blue,
them.
yellow, red, and who knows, maybe we'll see some of the other guys as well. But I mean, I know a lot of people see this trailer and go like, that's not what I wanted, right? But to me, this is not like Federation Force. This is like taking the Pikmin formula and trying to figure out how to do it on a tiny screen like the 3DS.
Yeah, and I think they made the right compromises. I think they sort of looked at it and said, okay, this would never work as a 3D title on here because of how small these screens are, how low resolution they are. Let's work to its strengths. Let's make it a 2.5D sort of system. From what we can tell, it looks like when you hold the left side of, you're going to be holding your 3DS with your left hand. You're going to be using the analog stick to move Olimar around, but at the same time, you're tapping the screen to throw Pikmin.
And you get some icons. You got the whistle icon on whatever that backpack thing is on the screen.
Yep. No, totally. I think that we just got to see where they take it, and this is the first reveal. It's a 2017 game. That's all we know. Anything to add? I mean, I think Pikmin 3 was the most brilliant game on Wii U.
Yeah, I mean,
sadly, I'm the only person in the office who says that.
I love that game.
I love that game.
That game's amazing. I've been a huge Pikmin fan since the first game, and I agree. Compromises had to be made for this. It also leaves the door open for whatever Pikmin 4 on a hybrid handheld home console could be.
Yeah.
But I'm interested enough in this initial trailer. I think I liked sort of when you first see that it's on both screens and they're using the levels to sort of layer the environment. And I'm excited to play around with that.
Let's hope it doesn't get the Chibi Robo thing, like where it loses something in the translation to that perspective, right?
Well, but Chibi Robo 2, they turned into an action. I guess,
look at that.
Well, what do you know? It became an action game, but maybe not in the best sense.
But Chibi Robo obviously was a very different game. Like that
was
transition.
I mean, it's similarly as niche in terms of like
from
Nintendo
3D
properties.
to 2D, that execution should have been easier. Like with Pikmin, I actually think it's a little bit more challenging. Like Pikmin is not a normal game. Like the main character can't do jack. It's all about the people following you and the management of the groups and assigning them. And like in the trailer we saw, he throws the fire Pikmin to stomp out the fire and the electric guys to bridge a circuit that's interrupted.
He also has the red Pikmin pushing a rock, and then he climbs a vine and gets on top of it, and the yellow Pikmin behind him help push it. They've got stuff like that.
I think it looks good. I'm excited for it.
No, same. Sure. And they do give the illusion of the bigger world around you. They do a good job of playing with scale and depth. But
and
I will
the enemies are big too.
Yeah,
like the bulbors you run through the legs. It's that
huge.
Big.
Yeah, that was also really cool. I just learned something though during this. I really need to invite you both to the top 25 Wii U meeting because I would never win the argument that Pikmin 3 was the #1 game on Wii U, and it drives me nuts.
Well, it isn't the #1 game on the Wii U. It
absolutely is.
It is not.
It is.
You can't put Wind Waker on that same platform and say that Pikmin is better. You can't
judge Wind Waker totally by today's standards either.
Well, you got to come up with your rules. If your rules are the very best game on the platform, that's one thing. If your rules are the very best game just created for the platform,
the thing that kills me is Pikmin 3 sometimes feels to me like the best game that no one played.
It's a really good game.
Yeah.
That drives me up the wall because that game was quality, especially after that last update.
I agree, but that platform also has Mario Kart on it.
Yeah.
And it has Wind Waker on it.
And Smash Brothers on it.
And it has Smash Brothers.
And the smartest one.
And it has Mario on it.
And it has Splatoon on it.
And it has Splatoon on it. Like, it's hard to rank those games.
It's got Breath of the Wild on it.
And I would not put Pikmin 3 honestly as #1, but I really love that game.
I just uninvited you from that meeting.
For sure.
I mean, I would definitely just invite me to this meeting. Also,
I'm kidding.
Lego City has to be on there.
Yeah,
not in #1, but Lego City is often forgotten. It's a good game.
Yeah, other great game that no one played, or fewer folks played.
Good.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
good grammar.
You're welcome.
Yeah, thanks.
It's what we do here.
All right.
Yeah.
I think that's our show.
There was a lot of stuff.
Last thing though. Last thing. So let's just talk about the interstitials, the vibe, the Nintendo sort of approach of sort of doling out information and delivering new information.
The silliness or
the silliness, yeah.
theme,
I mean, I feel like
yeah.
once again the theme is still sort of trying to juggle time between the games that are going to blow your mind and the games that this is the only place we can show them to you because we've trained you to come here to watch.
Yeah.
You know, like for some folks that was Tank Troopers, for better or worse. Verdict's still out on that one. But, yeah, what'd you think? Beardhead Bill Trinan.
There was way
that.
more in it than I thought would be in it. I thought for sure this is going to focus on the Nindies, which, nothing wrong with that. There's some good games, obviously. Yeah. I thought it was going to focus on that and Pokemon and, and some of the more immediate releases. I was not expecting a Pikmin announcement. I had completely forgotten about our repeated request to have Mario Maker on the 3DS. Like that was completely unexpected, and so I enjoyed it. I thought it was full of surprises. It's always Nintendo's Directs are always charming and goofy, right? Like they have this kind of silly attitude. I hope Donuts becomes a thing for Reggie. That he's
for
gonna
Bill.
They bring back frequently.
ReggieZilla was what the whole where's my 3DS? What about you? What you think?
No, I enjoyed it. Interstitial wise. I had fun. I enjoyed. I took it as a Lost parody, so that worked for me really well because I love Lost. It is that thing I completely understand from one side. They want to keep it light. They want to keep it fun. I really want to get to the announcements I care about, but I do, in this format, I appreciate them putting that in there, not having it just be cut and dry thing after thing after thing, because it's not a straight press conference. It is a packaged product, and I think they did pretty well this time around.
Yeah, and they shotgun it in terms of audience, right? Like they go for, there was a 10-second Disney Magical Princess reel in there, along with, hey, we got a Pikmin 4 announcement. Like they are really trying to make sure, hey, here's everything we have to talk about for 3DS, because probably the next time we have something to say, it's about that big code name system that we're not talking about and that we keep sort of pushing back.
The specter was looming over the Direct the whole time.
Yeah, that's why you got...
What was said was almost as important. What wasn't said is almost as important as what was said.
Yeah, and you've got 3DS games going into 2017, so clearly the stage is set for you to do. I'm doing my best Christopher Walken.
What is with the Christopher Walken was there?
For you to do something.
Cowbell.
Yeah. Cowbell.
Wow.
Jesus. Wow. I think that the interstitial stuff was fun. It was nice to see them play around with their, be personality driven more. I feel like they only let that loose at E3 when they do their digital event. And I feel like during the year, you should have fun doing that stuff because ultimately it serves the entire audience you're trying to serve. You know, it's serving the hardcore gamer as much as it's serving everyone else.
By the way, no news on Cloud or Bayonetta, Amiibo, nothing, huh? Interesting.
Go fish.
Yeah?
Yeah. Also,
like the completionist in me is shedding a silent tear.
I will say this: the moment, and this felt like borderline trolling, and I'm going to call this out. The moment Bill was on. And Bill, freshly shaven Bill Trinan was on, and he said,
"What a gorgeous man!"
17 seconds, and he let it hang. I think everyone in the room was like, "Oh my god! Oh my god! Oh my god! Oh my god! Oh my god! Is this?" And then it's like, will be the most adorable thing you've ever seen. It's like, well, there it is.
You think that was the Trin troll in action?
Ooh, I felt it.
I thought the Reggie troll with Galaxy was almost better.
But we saw the system was announced earlier
I did
this
have
week.
that moment when Bill said that. For a second, I really did think, because it's the end of the video, and I was like, we're going to get it. It's actually going to happen, even if it's just a quick little, here's when you'll know. But no, it was over anticipatory of me.
Thanks, Bill.
Yeah.
Just a special message for Tran on Twitter. Thank you so much for that moment. But that's it. Overall, happy with the Direct. Definitely indifferent towards one last thing, being that these games getting a second life on 3DS. So far, no real messaging behind if you are a Wii U owner who bought those games. Is there any way they're going to incentivize you outside of content in terms of like a discount, something?
Yeah, and I think that's the one thing, right? Like the people who watch Nintendo Directs are definitely the super fans, and they likely already have some of those games too, right?
A lot of them bought a Wii U, I bet.
But, that Nintendo Direct is how the message starts, right? Nintendo wants you to talk to others and tell them about what's coming, and so, to that friend who never bought Mario Maker because he doesn't have a Wii U, you now can tell him, hey, you can buy it on 3DS and let me play some of your levels. So,
I just hope that, you have My Nintendo, you have a way of tracking digital purchases at least. I wish there was a way to figure this out, but maybe they can't because they don't have a way to do it for physical product yet. That could be the problem.
And X, save us. Bridge the gaps.
Bridge the gap.
Please exist and just show yourself.
Couldn't hurt.
And I think we're done.
There's just a quiet prayer for the NX to exist.
I don't want to do prayers on the show.
We should bring a Ouija board in and just ask it questions about the NX. Oh, Ouija board. Anybody have a Ouija board we can borrow?
There's a Ouija board movie coming out, a sequel to the original Ouija movie.
And we're done. Thank you so much for listening to the Nintendo Voice Chat. We are a weekly show on IGN, and there's a bunch of other podcast shows that you should check out. Leave us feedback on iTunes. Head on over there. You can leave us a review or email us at nvc@ign.com. Let us know what you thought of the Direct. I mean, we can read a couple of those next week, I feel.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, that'd be fun. And lastly, make sure you track down Andrew Goldfarb. You tell him how much you love Poochie at PAX. He's running around looking for any and all IGNers, along with Marty Sleva and Alana Pierce.
Yep. And make sure he doesn't fall off a pier again.
Looking for Pokemon.
Take care of the kid, okay?
Sure.
He's fragile.
Yeah, that's it. So let's just sign off. You can find us on Twitter. You can find Per Schneider at
Per IGN.
You can find Jonathon Dornbush at
JM Dornbush.
And thank you very much for joining us today.
Thank you for having me. Appreciate
Impromptu,
it.
Put you on the spot.
We gave him exactly 30-second heads up time.
That's how we do it here.
Because we forgot Brian was gone.
And lastly, you can find me on Twitter, Jose_Otero. Thank you so much for listening and watching. We'll be back next week with more Nintendo Voice Chat. And I never hit record on that, but we have record on that, so we're okay.
All right.
Stop the tape. Stop the tape.